Okay, this video is to help you with your quarter one project. I'm going to walk you through a project. It's very similar to yours, but it's not yours because it's mine. And when you're done watching mine, you should be able to do something very similar with yours. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of what you'll start with. Mine would be y equals x minus 2 times x plus 8. And my job is to take this equation from this form, which is the intercept form, into standard form. And then once I have it in standard form, I need to then take it to vertex form. Okay? So as I go through these two steps, you have to remember that most of your grade is determined by how you describe what you're doing. Because you're not going to have a handwritten response to this problem. You're going to do it using Moodle and a computer. So you're going to have to be able to answer or describe what's happening as you go from step to step. So the first thing I'm going to describe is that in order to multiply these two parentheses together, I need to use the FOIL method, or I could simply say I need to multiply the first x by both things in the second parentheses, and the negative 2 by both things in the second parentheses. So that's going to end up giving me, and this is what I'm drawing, but again, you wouldn't be able to see this drawing on Moodle. You'd have to describe this to me. What are you doing? And so now my equation would say y equals x squared minus 2x plus 8x minus 16. It's important that you describe how you went from the first line to the second line. Then I'm going to describe how I get to the third line, which is just combining my like terms. So y equals x squared plus 6x minus 16. At this point, I've made it to standard form. So the first part of my project is done. Now I need to be able to describe how I move from here to vertex form. You have to remember that vertex form is what we get when we use complete the square algorithm. So what we're going to do is we're going to complete the square on this problem. Now normally when we were doing complete the square in class, it was always equal to 0. And so you can imagine there being an equal 0 over here. Well, we don't have that. What we have is equal to y. And so right now we're going to pretend that the y is part of that, that information that we're going to pretend is 0. So in complete the square, we always said to get rid of this term, to move it out of the way. So in this problem, I would describe saying that in order to get the c term gone, I'm going to add it to both sides, add 16 to both sides, so that I get y plus 16 equals x squared plus 6x. Now, I need to complete the square, which means I need to add something perfect to both sides. This is, again, a big piece of the description. How do you know what to add? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of the 6. Excuse me. And thank you to anyone who said bless you. Okay, I'm going to take half of this 6, which is 3. But then I'm going to square that number. And 3 squared gives me 9. So I will add 9 to both sides. And so again, why am I adding 9? It was half of the 6, and then that number squared. That's a description you have to give in your answer today. So y plus 25 equals x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now, I'm going to factor the side that has the x squared. And it will factor as x plus 3 times x plus 3. Do not forget to describe how you do that. You need to know what you're doing. And so make sure that you're describing that along the way. So make sure you describe that accurately so that everybody knows where that's coming from. It's not just magic. Remember, the factors of x squared are x and x. The factors of 9 are 3 and 3. And those 3's add up to 6 in the middle. So that kind of description helps us along the way. Well, because it's the same parentheses twice, I can say that that's the same thing as x plus 3 quantity squared. Now we're almost there. Remember that when we were completing the square before, we were trying to solve, so we normally would take the square root here. But I'm not trying to solve, I'm just trying to rewrite the equation. And so what my whole goal was to have a vertex form. This x plus 3 quantity squared, that's part of the vertex form. All I need now is to get y alone. So I subtract the 25 from both sides, and my final equation is y equals x plus 3 quantity squared minus 25. And that is the final answer. So you've got three equations. This one here, the one that I starred just a second ago here in green, and then your very top equation. They all graph the exact same parabola, they all mean the same thing, but they're different versions, different ways of looking at them. And so we want to show that we have the ability to translate from one version to the other, and that's what your project's about. But you have to remember the description of what you're doing is paramount. Good luck.